The number one chiropractic myth. If I go to a chiropractor, I'm gonna have to go forever.
Are you a high-performing parent, entrepreneur, or high achiever in pursuit of excellence? Welcome to The Nexus Podcast, a podcast custom tailored for families like ours, driven, affluent, and eager to lead extraordinary lives. From rockstar stay-at-home moms to high-producing CEOs, we choose to model success for everyone we are surrounded by. We prioritize health over sickness, embrace a vitalistic lifestyle, and seek to tap into the limitless potential that God has bestowed upon us. I'm Dr. Daniel Kimbley, your host, and on this podcast, we'll uncover the secrets to living a fulfilling and abundant life, where you and your loved ones can thrive physically, mentally, and spiritually. Together, we'll forge a path to greatness and unleash your God-given capabilities. Get ready to say yes to a life of true prosperity and well-being. This is The Nexus Podcast.
When I was in high school, my best friend's dad was a chiropractor, and he only took care of old people. And I can remember I slept funny and I had all this neck stuff and I could barely move my head. And my best friend is like, "Dad, can you adjust him?" And the chiro said to me, he said, "You don't want to get adjusted by me because if you get adjusted, then you'll have to keep getting adjusted forever." So the number one myth that I think that people think about chiropractors is that if I go, I'm going to have to go forever. But here's the question that I would ask that I think is a more important question. No one has ever been frustrated with having to eat clean forever in order to keep their fit body. No one has ever been like, well, if I go to the gym, do I have to keep going forever if I want to continue to get results? Of course you do. But what I know and what I've seen with my daughter and with my wife and the hundreds and thousands of families that we've taken care of over the course of the last 7 years is that the people who are committed and who do this stuff for long term get better results, and they have lasting results, and they're happier, and they notice changes, and they don't get injured as frequently, and they don't get sick as quickly, and they tend to make more money, and they tend to have better relationships, and their bodies just tend to function better, and they can do what they want. And so the question that I always ask people is like, if your brain is the most important thing in your entire body, and it controls every other function, would you want it to function at 100% for the rest of your life, or only function at 100% long enough to keep you out of pain? And that's the question. It's like nobody got baptized and been like, cool, I'm done, never have to go back to church, never have to read my Bible again. It doesn't make sense. But for some reason, there's this misconception that like, oh, chiropractors are just trying to get my money. Your medical doctor wants you to take your blood pressure meds for the rest of your life. Your medical doctor wants you to take your thyroid meds for the rest of your life. So the question isn't, do you want me to come forever? It's like, what's the cost of doing one versus the other forever? Everything that I talk about is about the brain. So the reason that someone would have a messed up neck in the first place is not because of the pillow. There's a deeper cause to it. So remember that the brain tells the muscles in the neck what to do. And only the brain tells the muscles in the neck what to do. So if the muscles in the neck have an issue where the neck becomes a problem, it's not a neck problem, it's not a back problem, it's not a pillow problem, it's a brain problem. Chiropractors didn't invent pillows to mess people's necks up. I think there are other places where people are told it's dangerous to sleep on your back. We know that if you sleep on your back, it actually closes down the airway. You can just think, if I'm laying on my back, I'm gonna close up my airway. So that's one piece. Sleeping on your stomach actually puts pressure on your diaphragm, so your diaphragm actually gets strengthened. Sleeping on your stomach, you have to turn your head one way or the other and extend your neck, which is extension of the neck. We talk about the neck and posture, but extension of the neck or the C curve in the neck, they've done studies that show that the better a C curve in someone's neck, the longer the telomeres on the end of their chromosome. So telomere is like the little plastic piece on the end of your shoelace. That's an indicator of aging. So the shorter it is, the faster somebody's gonna age and the less longevity that they'll have. So better cervical curve equals longer telomeres from a genetic perspective. So what's cool is if we think about, okay, if I sleep on my back, I close down my airway, I close up the C curve, but if I sleep on my stomach, then I'm actually opening up my airway, I'm opening up the C curve, I'm doing a whole bunch of things that are better for my body. The reality is there's just so much misinformation that people don't even know where to go anymore because there's so much information out there. So I always go back to, it's how did God create us? And what was the purpose in that? And great, yeah, a pillow is great and it's comfortable, but the ideal sleeping position is on your stomach. Most people don't hear that. And they think it's crazy. And they're like, I would let my child sleep on their stomach. I did. My daughter, she still does. every single night and has since she was teeny tiny. Because we co-slept with her where she slept on my chest for like the first 6 months of life. And then she went in straight into her queen size bed and she's super happy, super healthy. And that's how we roll. So that's my rabbit hole. But no, chiropractors did not invent pillows to mess people's necks up. The neck issue is an indicator of brain function, nothing else. My chiropractor in Indiana, so he's the one who got me into chiropractic, right? And I love the dude, he's super smart, like amazing results. He's an awesome chiro. Like I would refer anybody to him. He's so good. My mom went to him for years, right? So Dr. Mike's amazing. He's my mentor. He's the one who got me into this in the first place. But even him, like I remember training myself to sleep on my back when I was under his care because he's like this pillow with this curve and you have to have all the stuff. But then when I circled back around now in practice and learning more on like the functional neurology piece and looking at developmentally what's best for the brain from like the earliest age possible, a lot of what I learned then isn't true based on what I believe about the body and how God created us and what we were designed to be. People think that chiropractors just treat back pain. And the reality is that a good chiropractor isn't treating anything. So this is where I think people get it wrong when they think about what chiropractors do. And when I say chiropractors, I would specifically talk about chiropractors who do something similar to me. There are lots of different types of chiropractors out there. We can't get into that. That's a long conversation. But what I would say is that if a chiropractor says that they're treating something, first off, I would argue that that's incorrect because we're not treating anything. We weren't by nature meant to treat anything. What we were meant to do is address the body's innate healing capability, which is to say, if I'm treating something, then I'm doing something to fix what's broken. But the reality is, if you operate from this premise that God gave us the gift of healing within our own bodies, and our own bodies can only heal ourselves, then I can't say that we treat anything. And no chiropractor should be able to say that they treat back pain, neck pain, headaches, etc. What we should be saying is that we affect the brain, and when the brain is optimized, the body will heal itself given a long enough time horizon, depending on how someone has something going on and how long it's been going on, etc. And so this idea of, this is why I don't say treat in our office. I use the word care. Why? Because I'm caring for someone's system to allow it the tools and capability to be able to do what it was designed to do. A perfect example of this would be like if your kids or you fell down and scraped your knees in the street, you don't have to go to bed at night and be like, oh my gosh, I need to make sure I heal that today. Your body's gonna do it on its own. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to go to bed at night and think about, oh, I need to make sure my heart keeps beating. Your body just does it on its own. So again, we do trillions of processes without any bits of thought every single minute. And so the reality is like treatment isn't really a correct term because we're not fixing what's broken. And I would even go a step further to say that if someone has back pain, that pain is a normal God-given response to keep the body safe and protected. So why would I want to take away someone's God-given response to keep them safe and protected? What we should be looking for is why is the pain there in the first place? Why is the brain sending a pain signal? And then how do we address the brain to turn off that pain so that people can get back to optimal function where the body's not trying to protect itself because it thinks it's going to get injured further. And that's the biggest difference, is like this idea of treating something versus care. We provide care because I'm not fixing someone on the inside. Their body can only heal itself. We just have some cool tools to allow access to the brain. When the brain's optimized, the rest will take care of itself.